Guys, our friends from NordVPN are on a mission to keep you safe when you're online. With Nord's help, the internet can be safe of cybercrime, theft, and surveillance. Nord is much more than just a VPN. NordVPN's threat protection is going to shield you from malware, trackers, and ads, while their dark web notifies you of any potential leaks or threats. The meshnet will allow you to connect your devices remotely and securely, and the dedicated IP will allow you to avoid CAPTCHAs and block lists. But my favorite part about NordVPN is that they're privacy conscious. They do not track what you do or share, whether you're sending or receiving anything online. And you will always be protected with a robust encryption. One account can protect up to 6 devices with 24/7 customer support and a 30-day money-back guarantee. NordVPN customer service cannot be beat. Become safer online with a single click and the fastest VPN on the planet. Get NordVPN's 2-year plan plus 4 months free when you go to nordvpn.com/Sonnen or click on the link below. If Henry Cejudo had beaten Merab, would Henry be fighting for the world title? Would have he been announced the #1 contender as quickly as it happened for Merab? Because don't forget, they didn't even leave the ring. Henry was in the cage. Merab was doing his interview. When Merab was announced #1 contender, Joe Rogan literally was given the information into the earpiece and said to Merab, "We got O'Malley and Cheetah coming up. You will be taking on the winner. What do you think about that?" He was announced right there, #1 contender. And I'm just asking you, if you think if Henry would have beaten Merab, would have that happened to Henry? And most likely you threw back I'm not sure. You were not defiant and positive and certain that that was a #1 contenders match. Well, why not? I don't understand. Why not? If we knew that was the match, and we have the evidence now that that was the match, somebody in that match was good enough that before we even talk to Dana or go to a post-fight press conference, this is decided. Dana gave a thumbs up right to the truck, right to Rogan. Here's the announcement. If the other guy was even better, was good enough to beat the guy that I just said all those nice things about, when did he become the #1 contender? And no, not necessarily. No, it looked a little different going in. Henry, in fact, would have been 1-1 in his last 2. If that's how you wanted to play it, if you wanted to look at those numbers would be extremely misleading, but it would be accurate. He would have been 1-1 in his last 2. Merab had won, I believe, 9 straight. Going into that, I think Merab's on a 10-fight win streak. And I could be off by 1, but you understand my point. So it's the same guy putting that same risk out there against a former world champion opponent. I mean, they both have really good arguments, but do you think it would have been done that quickly, regardless of outcome, or moreover, had it been Henry? I think you're left that I don't know. I don't think you're quite as bullish about that. And what's the big difference? What's the big difference between them? Now, guys, hold on, because Henry was set to retire that night. They didn't get to him. Merab went on in his interview so long they didn't get to Henry. I realize a different story has been told to you guys, just so you know the reality. Merab went so long in his interview they didn't get to Henry. And because they didn't get to Henry, Henry's changed his mind. Not only has Henry changed his mind, he's got a really good idea. He would like, on Mexican Independence Day at the Sphere in Las Vegas, which has now been moved to a pay-per-view event, he would like to challenge Brandon Moreno. That's awesome. That's awesome. I don't believe Henry went any further. I don't believe he said, and then the winner gets to fight for a belt. So sooner or later, Henry will get to all that. That'll be an added part of the shtick, which if he can manifest and make come to reality, fine. But I think where we're at right now, he has just made the challenge, which was very interesting to me, because not very many guys want to challenge somebody who's coming off of a loss. Why not? What the losses don't mean, I'm just telling you, to say they don't mean anything, but figuratively, they really don't. People really don't remember who's who. They really don't know if they won or lost, or right like that. That's just internal. Henry is a former world champion who's going to cut back down to the weight class of 125. Look, I see the desperation that Henry's got. coming out of the sport and wanting to go to 45. But there was a champ story to be told. Being told, nope, you're going to do it at 35. Coming ever bit so close. Then attempted to be a number one contender for the very title that he once gave back. And now dropping to 125, but there is something on that in there. Henry Cejudo versus Brandon Moreno. And Henry made a statement, by the way. He said, let's finish this once and for all. And I wish he would have elaborated because I think I know what he means. Henry cornered against Moreno. Now, Henry's ties to Moreno and his victories and his defeats towards Moreno had to do, from a coaching aspect, directly tied to Davidson Figueiredo, I think. That's what I think they're talking about with that. That's interesting to me. Can Henry get down to $125? Right? I mean, the discipline that you would need to get to 125 pounds, the discipline that you would need, the effort and the motivation that you are seeing and demanding of yourself to challenge Moreno. Moreno is the best fighter in the world on any given day. The true greats, by the way, in the true great eras, don't hold on to that thing for 4 years and 5 years and 10 years. The guys that win are undefeated for 10 years. That means your division sucked. It doesn't mean that you were that great. That's the reality of it. If you're 1,000-0, it means you're in a sport with guys that aren't very good. That's what it means. It's not a compliment to you. You know how good Moreno is? He was good enough to capture the championship, pass to somebody else, capture it again, pass to somebody else, be right in there the thick on any given day. Moreno versus Cejudo, I like it. I like it a lot, but I really want you guys to understand one piece that's missing from Henry. So let's go back to the genesis. Let's go back 5 minutes to the question that I asked you. If Henry had beaten Merab, are you confident that Henry would be the number one contender, that Henry would have been announced by Rogan that night, co-signed by Dana that night at the press conference, moving forward? He will be the man waiting for the winner of O'Malley and Cheeto. That's what I'm asking you. If it were Henry, and your answer is no. And do you want to know what the difference is? It's not a lack of parity, and it's not age. The one thing that Henry hasn't given us in the sport, and I think it's very clear that he does have it, there's just a reason that he won't let it go, which is to let us know he's in it for the long haul. It's an extremely difficult thing to let somebody be world champion who is telling you, this will be my last fight. I'm going to win your belt and I'm going to walk away. It's a very hard thing to sign off and say, okay, when I've got all these other wonderful options that are not going to go and create me a potential problem. And I don't believe that Henry ever meant that he was going to be done. I don't believe that Henry ever, when we all believed he was going to retire if he didn't meet Rob, was actually going to be retiring if he didn't meet Rob. The greats, like Henry, will create an environment and they'll put themselves in it. They will put themselves in a situation that they believe brings out the best. And regardless of what happens today, it's going to be a learning experience. And I'm still young in the sport. It's my first one back after a little bit of time off. And I'm going to give myself about 3 or 4 to get back in there. Like, these are different approaches that different guys have. But the greats will burn their ships. The greats will put themselves in a situation where it's pass or fail. It's all or nothing. And Henry's one of the greats. I don't think Henry is somebody that changes his mind continually. I think it just appears that Henry is changing his mind continually. I don't think Henry was ever going to retire if he beat Merab. I don't think he wanted to retire the night that he fought Dominic. I don't think the outcome of the Aljo match had to do with what was next competitively for Henry. I don't think, but I can't prove that to you because I'm left at the words of Cejudo the same as you are. And while Henry does a great job and while he keeps us on the edge of our seats, and while the Triple C and the King of Courage, while all of these things work, the one piece that a promoter is going to have to know is that I don't just have you tonight, I got you for the next night. The outcome of this match can have a significance because I can count on you to show up to pay it off to the audience, or can I not? I don't have a crystal ball. You don't have a crystal ball. I'm going to take you at your word. And Henry keeps putting himself in a position where he must succeed. But the other side of that, right, that's a competitive standpoint. We'd never question somebody as decorated as Cejudo. That's the competitive side. From the marketing side, the words make it sound like this is one night only, as opposed to here's where we're at in the story of my career. And it's a tone and it's a verbiage and it's words. But tones and verbiage and words matter for a reason. Cejudo is not done, and he's proven he's not done, and he's got the eye of the tiger, and he's still hungry, and he's willing to change weight classes, and he's willing to call out Brandon Moreno, who nobody ever calls out, not to mention he's willing to put all the focus, first time at the Sphere, Mexican Independent Day, all the eyeballs on a pass or a fail. Can't get any hotter. That's the way Henry likes it. Now he just needs to make sure that it's perfectly clear for the decision makers that this is one stop on the journey that's going to be known as Henry's career.